let's get into all the other Diddy stuff, man. This is wild. Rolling Stone did an investigative article. This shit is just astronomical. Like, they did a 6-month investigation interviewing people. And this shit is crazy. I'm not going to go over every single detail in this article, but there's a lot. There's a lot of things that reveal Diddy was jealous of Tupac and Biggie, and that Biggie was trying to leave his contract, which there have been a lot of reports of, that Biggie was trying to leave, and that Tupac, Diddy didn't like the fact that Tupac and Biggie were so cool with each other. There's been a lot of rumors that Diddy had a hand in killing both Tupac and Biggie. Shameless plug, Diddy $1 million hit documentary. I'm working on that right now, so this is another piece that I'm adding to that documentary. But let's go over it, man. The Rolling Stone article is just insane. Let's go over the Rolling Stone investigation that they did for the past 6 months after all these lawsuits came out to Diddy. They came out with 10 key takeaways in the whole situation over the 6-month investigation. So let's go over every key takeaway. The first one is that the abuse allegations against Diddy date back to his college years. Yes, this guy's been doing this since his college days, back in his early 20s or late teens. At Howard, Combs became known for hosting rowdy weekly parties, but several women remember him for an alleged incident outside a school dorm. One classmate tells Rolling Stone that Combs showed up outside a woman's dorm one night and began screaming for a girlfriend in a belligerent manner. Other women in the dorm quickly began running through the halls, knocking on doors in a panic, according to the source. They were surrounding the alarm that Combs, known then by a nickname Puff, was attacking the young woman outside, she recalls. Puff is out here acting crazy. He's beating her, the fellow student said, according to the classmate. He screamed and hollered and acted a stone fool until she came downstairs, says another student who witnessed the beating. She says Combs used what appeared to be a belt to strike the young woman all over the place. Speaking on the condition of the anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the incident, the witness says Combs appeared super angry and was screaming at the top of his lungs, adding that he whooped her butt, like really whooped her butt. The witness says the woman was clearly terrorized. She was trying to defend herself a little bit. She was crying, and we were telling him, get off of her. We were screaming for her. A third source also recalled the alleged assault to Rolling Stone. The woman at the center of the alleged attack declined to speak with Rolling Stone, which, maybe she's saving it for the actual courts. 2, here's the second thing that they took away from this investigation. Combs allegedly beat a music executive bloody over the man's relationship with Combs' ex, Kim Porter. In 2000, Porter's fledgling courtship with the late music executive Shakir Stewart enraged Combs. When the industry gathered for L.A. Reid's wedding in Italy that summer, Combs went to Stewart's hotel room after the ceremony and allegedly broke a chair over Stewart's head. Stewart's mother and the 2 of his close friends tell Rolling Stone he left him bleeding on a hotel floor in Italy. Stewart's mother, Portia, says he had to have stitches, and then Combs threatened him. I'm going to kill you. That's when I said, you need to get out of this business. This man is crazy. Look at this, man. We got, college days, which is, I think, the 80s, I'm going to assume. We got the 2000s already. Now, here's the third thing. Combs sexually harassed a business associate at a 2001 party. After Combs' acquittal in the shooting incident at a New York club, he went to the Pensacola Hotel, where he was throwing a massive bash to celebrate the verdict. Anna, a freelance graphic designer working with the Bad Boys marketing team, says Combs approached her and began to massage her shoulders. The woman requested Poisodome, citing fear of retribution. I'm getting touched on my shoulder, my arms, my back. He's like, oh, yeah, you like that? I know you like that. Like, really, really gross, Anna recalls, sharing her story publicly for the first time. I was like, nah, not so much, and I floated my way out of there. Anna says she avoided Combs the rest of the night. Weeks later, her boss's girlfriend confided that Combs allegedly approached the boss the night of the party to solicit me for sex, Anna says. A friend confirmed to Rolling Stone that Anna told her about both the encounter and the proposed arrangement when they began working together a few years later. The boss did not respond to Rolling Stone's request for an interview, and the girlfriend declined to speak. I feel quite unsettled about this for many years. When people ask me about my days at Bad Boy, it's just overshadowed by his crap, Anna says, adding that Combs treated her as though she existed to accommodate his whims. The fourth thing is Combs allegedly attacked a woman inside Bad Boy's offices. And we've heard stories about this lots of times, man. So this is nothing new, but it's new people talking. So Burwes says he once saw Combs physically assault a woman inside Bad Boy's offices in 1994. He and another ex-employee telling Rolling Stone they had to tear Combs off of the woman after hearing screams and the sound of shattering glass. The woman declined Rolling Stone's request for comment. Felicia Newsom, the first manager of Bad Boy's recording studio, Daddy's House, recalls once holding Combs back when he was about to beat this girl's ass after a fight broke out between two women. I'm holding him by his waist saying, "You need to calm down. This is not your fight," Newsom recalls. The fifth thing is 3 accusers speak out for the first time, and they said it isn't about the money. 3 of the women now suing Combs for sexual assault tell Rolling Stone that once they learned their abuse was part of an alleged pattern, it was time to lend their voices to hold Combs accountable. It isn't about the money, says Joy Dickerson Neal. It's about making sure the world sees this man who rose to the level of an icon is actually sick and has left so many victims in the wake of his unpunished, disgusting behavior for years. I had a whole future in modeling mapped out that was stolen from me. Being sexually assaulted and having no resource is so painful, model Crystal McKinley says. I felt like I was dying every day because I did not yet have the strength to come forward. I hope that by speaking out, I can help other survivors come forward and seek justice. A Detroit area Jane Doe who alleges she was gang raped by Combs, shown here in a photo with him on the night of the alleged encounter. His former executive, Harry Pierre, and third identified man in 2003, tells Rolling Stone it was incredibly difficult to share her story, but she was encouraged by the voices of other women. It is important to remember that it is not just Combs, but also all those who acted with him, stood silent and actively covered up his behavior that must be held accountable, she says. And I agree. That's what I was talking about earlier. All this stuff happening and all these people notice and don't speak out. That's a huge issue. Number 6, and this involves Tupac and Biggie. Combs was jealous of Tupac Shakur's friendship with Biggie. Before Combs and his Bad Boy label were embroiled in a rivalry between Mary and Suge Knight Death Row Records, he was fond of the charismatic Shakur. His Bad Boy team spent the summer of 1993 studying the rapper's buoyant hit I Get Around as a blueprint for a commercial hip-hop record. Desperate to be taken seriously, Combs tried to foster a friendship with one of the hip-hop's greatest talents, sources said. And as I'm working on this Diddy $1 million hit documentary, I can concur that this is true. There's been a lot of people that said that Diddy wanted to steal Tupac's style and try to come up with the same type of style as him, wear the same type of clothes as Tupac, was obsessed basically with Tupac. Continuing on with this Rolling Stone article, Shakur wasn't interested. Pac didn't have any kind of respect for Puff, says the 90s hip-hop photographer Monique Bunn, who was close with Biggie and other Bad Boy artists. To Shakur and even Biggie, Bunn says Combs was a corny executive. Instead, according to Bad Boy ex-president Kirk Browers, Shakur bonded with Biggie, whom he viewed as his peer. As a result, he says, referring to Combs, there was someone on the sidelines jealous, not wanting that friendship to happen. Hey, can we connect the dots here, guys? Come on. I mean, here we are. Jealousy breeds all kinds of shit, right? Number 7, sources say Combs had abandonment issues and wouldn't let the women in his life move on. Damian Vasquez, a former Bad Boy intern, says after Combs and Jennifer Lopez broke up, Combs had staffers camp outside MTV's TRL studios with signs to win her back. Ventura claimed that every time she hid from him, Combs' network of operators found her and implored her to return, including a Bad Boy executive who threatened to withhold the release of her music if she didn't return Combs' calls. Browers believes Combs' losses at a young age, especially the murder of his father, took a toll on his relationships. He is fortified now with the money and the power, but the abandonment and the act of leaving can bring out vicious results, Brower says. And the women catch it the worst. Porter, who died of lobar pneuma, I don't know how to pronounce that, in 2018 was no exception. Her relationship with Combs was tumultuous, according to two sources who claim Combs physically abused her. I remember Kim used to go through a lot of stuff. Former Bad Boy rapper Mark Curry says, if you lived around them, you get to see the toxic relationship. I think every relationship he had that I experienced around him was like that. After their breakup, Combs refused to let her move on. Porter told Essence he still called 50, 60 times a day, she said. It was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. Has abandonment issues, cannot move on. Number 8, this is interesting, involves Biggie. Just 2 weeks after Wallace was murdered in 1997, in March 1997, Combs ordered LaJoyce Brookshire, the former director of publicity for Arista and Bad Boy, to focus all efforts on Wallace's upcoming album, Life After Death. Combs denied Brookshire's request for time off to process her grief and instead demanded she work until the album was number one. Top 10, she recalls. It sold nearly 700,000 copies in the first week. When Rolling Stone approached Bad Boy about the cover opportunity a few months after Biggie's murder, Browers claims he advocated for the late rapper to take the spot. I was telling Sean, let's make it Biggie. You still have a chance for a cover in the future, Browers recalls. He's like, no, he's dead. I'm putting out Combs' debut album, No Way Out, in July. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. He said, fuck Biggie. He dead. I'm going to be on this cover, man. We ain't got to put Biggie on the Rolling Stone cover again. Come on, man. Come on. He ain't going to be on the cover. Combs got on the cover 2 years later. He acknowledged how Biggie's death had been big business. I think his passing added to the fame, Combs told Rolling Stone in 1999. At least 2 million of nearly 5 million copies No Way Out sold were due to his death, straight up. And that doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's the reality. So he's happy. To me, man, who talks about sales increasing after, quote unquote, one of your best friends dies? Terrible, terrible, man. Number 9, co-workers showed disdain for Combs behind his back inside the Bad Boy offices. Browers recalls jealous Uptown execs referring to Combs as Satan and flipping him off as they walked by his offices in the Uptown building. Bad Boy sources say Combs was difficult to work for, claiming employees who wanted to stick around had to learn how to speak puffy. A demanding boss, Combs often yelled to get his point across and fired employees on a whim. No one on his team at Bad Boy spoke back to him. Former Daddy's House studio manager Felicia Newsom says no one challenged him, and that's the problem in this situation. When you're powerful, nobody challenges you. You can feel like you can do anything you want to, and that's your God. Nah. Another source recalls artist Mace calling Combs Massa back in the day. Mace did not respond to Rolling Stone's request for comment. He was so volatile, says a source who sometimes worked with Bad Boy. He's always on the edge of snapping and being scary. People did whatever he said to stay in good graces. And Puffy exploited people's desires to be in those environments. See? Amen. And then this is interesting, and this is where a lot of people tied Diddy with killing potentially Biggie. So let's go over it. Mark Curry was affiliated with Bad Boy from 1997 to 2006, and later wrote the book Dancing with the Devil, How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip Hop in 2009. He says Combs repeatedly promised to produce his solo album, but he never gave him a budget. There's 3 different ways you can kill a person, Curry tells Rolling Stone. You can kill them by experience. You can physically kill them. I've noticed him kill a lot of people's spirits. Some who left Combs worried he might try to expel them from the industry altogether. Brooklyn rapper Babs Bunny of Combs' MTV reality show Making the Band says he was blackballed after leaving the label. Photographer Monique Boone claims her gigs instantly dried up after winning a lawsuit against Combs for withholding a set of Biggie photos from her in 2000. She claims a friend of the Fader magazine told her that Combs personally called the office and said if they work with Bond, Bad Boy would pull its advertising from the magazine. See? Behind the scenes shit, man. He's someone you don't want to make an enemy out of, says one former employee. When people do go against them, the person gets ostracized, and an ex-Bad Boy president of Browers puts Combs never forgets a grudge. If he sees a snag in the sweater, he'll pull. Wild, man. Wild shit. And this is just this is just the interesting, like the little pieces of it. This whole article is long. They released, it's called Bad Boy for Life, Sean Combs' History of Violence. It is long. We're talking, I mean, there's stories of Usher when he was a teenager seeing people have sex in different rooms and having Diddy invite, him. This is a teenager, early 20s kid dealing with this stuff. Stuff about being jealous about Biggie wanting to leave the label and not wanting him to leave the label and getting into an argument about their masters and all this stuff, man. And this is all stuff that after I do this Diddy with $1 million hit documentary, I'm going to do a full-on Diddy about all of his history. Every fucking thing. It's going to be a super long documentary. 4 to 6 hours, I bet you. I'm going to deep dive into this. I have to. Because this is just ridiculous. Ridiculous.